was the difference tonight? What were the differences?
Well, I thought we started really well. I think whether it's turnovers a little bit there and had a stretch, but I thought overall, the first 16 to 18 minutes were pretty good. I think they got a little bit more physical with us. We missed some shots, and I think we got to kind of disrupt our offense a bit. But I'll highlight some of the positives, of course. Tyus continues to play well. Jordan was very efficient tonight, and Kuz got to go in there in the second half. So there were some stretches, some bright spots. I think in the middle of the second quarter, beginning of the third is I think where they got away from us a bit.
And how key to that, them opening up that lead was second chance points?
Well, quite a few. I mean, that's the nature of this team. Good second chance points. Not high volume offensive rebounding, but as far as converting, they do a really good job. They had a handful of turnovers, I think, in that stretch as well. That probably cost us. But keeping the ball in front, to their credit, they're really good at playing downhill, playing with force, and they do a really good job of finding the next action. So if you relax for a second, they're on to the next one. It makes it very difficult for them to guard.
Wes, to your point about physicality, how much tougher is it managing the bigs when you don't have Gallo in the second half of these back-to-backs, and like you mentioned, Gaff takes a beating the night before?
It's not, I thought Gaff, gave it great effort. And Sabonis he's a handful for everybody. So it's a tough matchup regardless. And then when we were down a couple of bigs, of course, it takes its toll, and picked up some early fouls with our, Denny, and Kuz a little bit, but, just doing your work early, trying to minimize deep paint catches. I think we fell into fouling a little bit as well, which allows them to walk to the line and set their defense. So being able to guard those guys, keep them out of the paint, and do it without fouling would be ideal.
You mentioned this as well, the offense didn't look as fluid as it has in some games. What was Jordan able to work, even when things weren't necessarily flowing like they usually do?
Well, I think the pick and rolls, I thought he was very efficient in pick and rolls, playing downhill, making the right read. And then once he sees the ball go in a couple times, I think that opens things up for him. I think we lost a little bit of the pace, and some of that I think is with our inability to get a stop and where we were fouling, and so we couldn't get out and run.
That was kind of my point. I feel like Jordan's always the best when you guys are doing well and getting out and running, but when he just isn't, you were saying he was just able to kind of create that rhythm on his own.
Yeah, he was. I thought that was a good sign. Playing pick and rolls up the floor allows him to turns him loose a bit, get into the paint. He's got separation. He's good enough to make step back threes.
Not necessarily just about tonight, but with Corey, do you feel like his output matches how positive of a season he's having individually with his growth and everything?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Like, looking at his numbers, you wouldn't necessarily know how generally good of a season he's having. Is that just because of the way you guys use him, where he's coming off the bench and you've got a bunch of other guards that you're trying to get shots to, or what do you feel like it's...
No, I think he's having a really good year.
Yeah.
Even defensively, I think he's been remarkably better. Just better in overall coverage. I think he's taken on the challenge of guarding and being more efficient on both sides of the ball. We talked about his ability to play with force and play downhill. It's a byproduct of teams running him off. So he keeps adding different dimensions to his game. I think he's really settled in a rotation spot. And to see him continue to grow is positive.
Does it matter that his scoring is not as consistent, I'm sure, as he'd like? He has really big nights at 23.
For sure.
I'm asking because I know you guys are kind of focusing on non-scoring, non-result this
year.
year.
No, he's aware. I think he hasn't shot the ball as well as he'd like. The free throw percentage has dipped a little bit. Some of it's byproduct of being out there longer. You're playing against different matchups. Sometimes you're playing against more started units. But I'm not necessarily concerned with that. I think it'll even itself out. He's a good enough shooter. He's shown the ability to score at a high rate and shoot with efficiency. So I think that water will find its level.